Hello, everybody. We are back with Hacker Summer Camp 101, and I am Nicole with the Diana Initiative, and I have Lily and Ash, also known as Zap, today.
Hi, everyone.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I am a product security engineer at the Boeing Company and Whisk Aero. I've been in the industry for about 17 years now. And I also, in my spare time, am a volunteer with the Aerospace Village.
Oh, cool. So, Aerospace Village, what exactly goes on there?
Sure. So I think the best thing to start with the Aerospace Village is to talk about our mission. So our mission is three really simple pieces: build, inspire, and promote. Build and sustain to grow an inclusive community focused on the aerospace cybersecurity community, inspire the next generation of aerospace cybersecurity leaders, and promote and develop aerospace cybersecurity expertise and knowledge. So we really want to build out, inspire, and promote this inclusive community for the next generation of aerospace cybersecurity development.
I love that because I think some things can just be so intimidating. So, bringing those people in, welcoming them, absolutely fabulous. Now, let's say I wanted to swing by your village. Is there anything that I need to bring with me in order to kind of be able to participate in your village?
Yeah. So what's really great is that you don't really need anything to get started. We try to keep everything really basic with our partners, where the only thing that you should really need is a laptop. Either we have computers available as part of our activities, like Bricks in the Air, or there's some sort of CTF going on, like the Embry Riddle CTF, where they've already got a lot of hardware available. But some of our other activities also require some laptop to get started. And with some of our workshops that we've started doing, we'll put out a materials list for some of the extended workshop activities. But for the most part, it's all based on just having your laptop available.
Now, does it need to be like a specific type of laptop? Could it be Mac, Windows, Linux?
Nope. It can be agnostic. A lot of times, people will bring Linux laptops because they're going to run some sort of VM to go with it. So our CubeSat lab activity needed a VM. So as long as you have some sort of virtual machine capability, you should be pretty much good to go there.
Awesome. And you said there were workshops. Is this something that maybe I need to keep an eye on your social media ahead of time to sign up for? Or is this something kind of I walk in first day to sign up for?
Absolutely. So we started. This was our first year of workshops at DEF CON 32, and so we had signups because we were somewhat limited on our space. We didn't know how popular they would be until the day of. And so we try to have signups available ahead of time so that people can sign up, know what to bring. But we also take people walking in if you don't mind sitting on the floor or in spaces around the workshop area.
Awesome. Now, if I wanted to maybe do a little bit of work in advance, read a book, watch a podcast, just to get some kind of terminology and groundwork, is there anything that you would recommend that I do before I show up?
Yeah, so that's something that's really interesting. Um, Aerospace industry is kind of insular, right? There's not a whole lot of information that really gets outside of the aerospace industry. It's a really old industry in a lot of cases with aviation. It's very heavy on standards for everything that we do. And we try to ensure that you don't need to know anything about aviation or space standards for you to show up in the village. However, if you do want to go out there and do some research yourself, we have a YouTube channel where we have a lot of our older talks available. Also, from DEF CON 32, our talks from the creator stage are also available. And we've also started putting our workshops up online as well. So you can go back and work through some of those workshops in order to get a better understanding of what we do in the village as well.
Awesome. So that'll certainly make it easy because obviously, if that's the content that showed up in your village previously, it's probably going to be similar to, content that's going to show up in the future.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm coming in brand new. Maybe I didn't have time to watch any of those videos. I do have my laptop. Is there a particular place in your village you think that would be best to start?
Yeah. So I personally think that one of the best ways to start your day is to try to get on the flight simulator that Pentest Partners, one of our village partners, brings every year. It's a good way. You don't need to have a laptop or anything, but you play around with flying aircraft a little bit, and it's a nice big simulator setup, so you really get the full effect of being in a really big aircraft. Um Also, the Embry-Riddle, CTF challenges are really easy ways to get started with not only doing CTFs, but also, doing cybersecurity challenges across different sectors of aviation and ground systems. That typically doesn't require your own laptop. They have hardware available for you to do that. Lockheed Martin this past year also had a really cool activity that tied in with their Dark Star badge, so you had to do some research in order to get to that point. And then also our partners at Boeing brought a challenging activity about airing 664. There we go. We have a standard that just showed up in our discussion here. 664 is an Ethernet-based aviation communication standard. So that activity was built in order to allow people to use their laptops in order to go through Wireshark captures in order to kind of tear through and learn about how airing 664 works. So that's a really good activity for you to kind of take some of your current understanding of Ethernet standards and apply it to the aerospace domain.
Okay, wow. So that sounds both fun and you get to learn a little bit of something in there. Now, we've mentioned CTF a couple times. So, since this is the Noob podcast, for anyone listening, that is a capture the flag, which is kind of a challenge where you go through and you complete challenges and you get points for those challenges. So for somebody who's like maybe never done a CTF before, is there any kind of things you want to explain about your CTF, about maybe what challenges they're going for and what kind of points they get and what maybe they could win if they manage to get enough points?
Yeah, sure. So, with a lot of our CTFs that are built from our partners, they're non-adversarial. So it's not like you're trying to defend your system and attack others, like the DEF CON CTF typically is. These CTFs really surround themselves in getting you to understand either the standards or the lessons that they're trying to teach. So the flag themselves is some piece of information that you're trying to glean from the system or that you're supposed to pull out of the capture files or other pieces that you're looking at. And so it's much much easier to get started in because you're not having to go up against other people, right? You're just trying to challenge your own knowledge and your research in these systems. So these CTF activities typically um, engage you into like really getting down into the details of the system that you're looking at.
So I'm hunting around on that wire capture from the Ethernet
Yep.
and looking for a particular word or phrase.
Yep. Or in the case of the Embry Riddle, it might be images of different airfields, and you have to identify the airfield that you're looking at and give the ICAO identifier. So, like right here in my own backyard is Minneapolis St. Paul, MSP, for instance.
And for anyone who doesn't fly often, every airport has a little code for it, which there's whole Wikipedia pages on. So that could be another thing maybe you could look at in advance if you're planning to play the CTF, just so that you're kind of familiar with what does that kind of thing look like.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, a lot of villages have additional content. Maybe they have a party or a meetup, something else that goes on outside of village hours, but still at DEF CON itself. Do you do anything like that?
Yeah. So in the years past, we've had little meetups. So we did a pilots meetup where different private pilots or people that are just interested in becoming a private pilot could come and meet up with other people. Also served as a little bit of a party for the village. Um, we typically try not to do stuff off hours because a lot of times running a village, you're also doing a lot of work after hours in order to prepare for the next day. So it kind of depends on year to year what we do after hours.
Totally understandable. Now, for anybody who maybe has looked at images of DEF CON, you see that there's a lot of stickers and a lot of badges involved. And if you've seen the hashtag badge life, It explains why people have so many badges around their neck because there's really only one badge for DEF CON, and that's the DEF CON official badge. But obviously, some villages for fun make their own badge or stickers. Is that something that you do? And if you do that, is that something that you sell either in advance or, at the event only?
Yeah, so do we ever do badges? The Aerospace Village has produced a badge every year, sometimes 2 badges in case of last year for DC-31, where we had a kind of commemorative, Wright Brothers badge that was produced and sold online only in limited quantities, and then we had a second, badge that we sold at DEF CON as well. Um, Everyone that knows us from in the badge work that we do, knows how much of a problem child this one was. This was our ADSB badge that was produced this year. I'll kind of bring it in a little bit closer. But we've built other badges in the past, such as our uh, multi multi-domain a badge that has a bunch of SAO ports on it to connect additional stuff onto it. And then we also produce our own little crew badges or speaker badges that we would give out in years past. But yeah, so we've done multiple different badges each year, and we kind of try to change it up, whether it's themed to the space domain or it's themed for aerospace. We kind of try to find a nice blend between them all.
That sounds like fun. Now, for SAOs, for anybody who doesn't know, they're like little tiny things that use the power of the badge itself to do something
Yep.
very dependent. And so that badge that has multiple is kind of unique because a lot of them will only usually have one. So being able to have multiple is definitely pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was
Now,
really fun producing
the
that one.
now for the one you said that there was a bit of shenanigans with, is that one that's still available in the shop, or do I need to wait until next year to kind of see the launch of whatever you're cooking up?
Yeah. So this year we decided to sell some of them online, and the sale has already started on those for a set for this year. Um, and so that's unfortunately we weren't able to have them at DEF CON. We sold approximately 75 of them at DEF CON itself because that's all that we really had on hand at the time, and then sold another bunch of them online. But who knows what next year will hold for us.
You never know because supply chains and things are exciting, and sometimes things arrive not quite the way you thought they were going to.
Yeah, and a lot of lessons learned going into next year.
Now, Aerospace Village, is that only at DEF CON, or could you potentially be found other places?
Yeah, this is something that we've been trying to do more and more in the past year and a half, is that we've been trying to expand our footprint a little bit to other smaller conferences because there's so many other conferences going on throughout the year that's not just DEF CON. So this year we've already been at B-Sides Charm in Baltimore. And just recently, this past weekend, we were at B-Sides New York City. And depending on whether this one comes out, I will also be at B-Sides London with one of our kids.
That is awesome. For anyone who's unaware, B-Sides is almost like a franchise model of conferences where your local area can get together and run a smaller than DEF CON, because 30,000 people is, a lot, information security event. And there's like a basic framework you get. And so it is very likely that if not in a major city near you, maybe the next major city near you probably has a B-Sides.
Yeah, yeah. And we're also trying to get out to other little conferences that aren't B-Sides franchised, just in order to get outside of our own comfort zones a little bit, make our stuff a little bit more portable, and also to because DEF CON is such a large event, and not everybody can get around to everything that's going on all the time. It allows us to have a greater reach in order to teach people what exists in aerospace and the challenges within aerospace cybersecurity.
Now, we've heard all about the village. But I'm wondering, how did you get involved with the village? And maybe if somebody was interested, how might their process of getting involved with the village look like?
Yeah, so my entry into the village was back in DC 28 when I was watching some of the videos in 2020. And I saw one of the talks that was given where I didn't necessarily agree with some of the material that was talked about because I had just worked on a system that was on that topic. And so I contacted them and said, "Hey, I'd like to volunteer and review papers with you all, your presentations." And they said, "Great, you're now in charge of the program." And so I've been doing the CFP program at the village for 4 years now. One of the big things when people want to volunteer with the village is they typically show up day of at DEF CON and are like, "Hey, we'd love to help out." Planning for DEF CON goes on months ahead of time, right? It's not something that we just show up and do. We try to get everybody aligned. Like for my stuff with the talks, that typically is planned out almost 3, 4 months ahead of time because we have to do review processes, we have to contact everyone, we have to make sure that everybody's set to go. Same with the volunteers. We try to come up with schedules to reduce the amount of burden on all of the volunteers uh, for the village. We try to get a head count of who's going to be where and what activities we need to have coverage on as well. So if you want to get involved with the Aerospace Village and volunteer on our website, aerospacevillage.org, we have a link to either email or to sign up. It typically, when we put out the call for volunteers, we have a sign up sheet to help us go through and figure out people that would like to get involved. In the off season, I like to call it, if you want to get involved, contact us, drop an email to us, and tell us a little bit about yourself. One of the biggest challenges that we have with people that want to volunteer is they want to just volunteer, which is awesome. We don't know anything about you. We don't know about your skills or your interests or your background. And so, like when I came to them and talked to them about what I would like to do by reviewing papers, I told them what my skills were and what information I had and what I could work on. I made it really easy for them to make a decision on like what help we need. So if you have skills in video editing or you have skills in audio production, like let us know because those are the sort of information that we would like to know so that if there's any additional work that we're trying to do, it would be really nice to have that skill set available and we can kind of like help you along with volunteering with us.
And from running my own villages and things, I can tell you that it doesn't need to be hacker skills, like someone
Oh,
saying,
no.
I know how to make really good images for social media, or I know how to edit videos, or I am really good at customer service and I can check people in for registration and handle any Karens. That is completely a skill that is needed at various things. So
Oh,
just
yeah.
think about like, what have you done that you're, happy to do for free and that you'd be willing to do for like, 3 or 4 days.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, if I want to find Aerospace Village, you mentioned your website. Is there other places I can find you on X, on Mastodon, on the DEF CON forums? And which one would you say is kind of the best one to follow along to make sure that I find out about the workshop signups and maybe the badge sales?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, our website has all of our contact information on it as well. So we are on X. We have a Mastodon account that we're going to start using a little bit more, and then we have a Discord server as well where we'll put out some announcements and have discussions like on our current badge. So when updates for that badge go out, we kind of talk about it online. When people have issues, we have that as like a little tech support channel as well. So yeah, we have multiple different ways for people to contact us, involved, find us, to find out information about what we're up to.
All right. And if they maybe can't help with time or volunteering, but they want to help with some kind of donation, do you look for corporate donations? Do you look for individual donations? Do you look for stuff donations?
Yeah, so we take donations in all forms, just like every village. So we have small donations can be made on the website. If you're a corporate sponsor and would like to sponsor us for DEF CON, we have sponsorship packages available. Also, if you want us to come to one of your local events, we can also do a sponsorship in conjunction with that. We can work out some sort of deal there for your local events as well. Uh, Most of us, because we are in aerospace or aviation, love to travel. And so we would love to come to your event.
All right, this is your last pitch. If I am overwhelmed by the number of choices happening at DEF CON, but you kind of sound interesting. Why should I make sure that I pop into the Aerospace Village and at least check it out to see if it captures my interest? Because we all know if something captures your interest, you may just end up there the whole day, if not the whole, event.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and what's kept me in aerospace as well. The aerospace industry is one that kind of cuts across multitude of different disciplines that a lot of people don't know about or don't connect. Right. So, aircraft, for instance, in some ways are flying data centers that have a lot of OT-like technologies on board with some IT. Airports are massive IT systems with interconnected domains and stuff that's passenger or public facing and stuff that's like private network facing with some esoteric systems on the back end. Space systems are mostly ground control systems as well, right? These are areas that are very familiar within the aerospace or not aerospace, the cybersecurity community. And so they're not that different from the stuff that you typically see and experience on a day-to-day basis. Um, Not only that, but you can also get a photo opportunity with autopilot, the pilot from Airplane.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and we hope everybody gives your Aerospace Village at least a couple minutes walk through because y'all have the best like on point game for costuming all of your volunteers.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.